What if you're exhausted not because you've been working too hard, but you're exhausted because you've been carrying something that hasn't been yours in the first place? Today I want to introduce you to something that I call the burden bearer. And maybe you're someone who is carrying everybody, who is never really able to shut himself off from work. Maybe you are someone who feels responsible for everyone and a lot of people are depending on you. Maybe it's even when you feel guilty, that you feel guilty when you are resting, right? And so this is, let me be very clear, this can sound all like you're super disciplined and extremely ambitious, because you tell yourself that in order to make everything work and to all the issues and the challenges and the problems that inevitably in business and in your relationships are happening is to work harder or to even solve all the problems because you're fucking good at it. Let's be very clear. You're a high performer and you've proven that you can build the life that you want. You can build the business that you want. You can have the relationship you want. You can go and live in the country that you want. It doesn't matter, right? You've got everything and you've been solving it all and there's just so many things to do. And your response is to be extremely disciplined and to be extremely ambitious, and it got you very, very far, right? But let me tell you that that life of being constantly responsible, of carrying everything, of solving everything, of not being able to shut yourself off and not rest whilst, maybe you are going to bed and you think you're sleeping, but then you wake up at night. There's something inside of you that is just waking up because you're constantly on. That is not ambition. It's not discipline. You're not disciplined to, even when you wake up at 4 a.m. and you say, well, let's just get to work. This is a state of survival. And you cannot build the real work, which means that the work, the outer work, what you came here to do for, and all the things you just know you have to do deep down inside, you cannot build that real work if you're still carrying the burden. And I know this too well. 12 years ago, I built my business, and for the first 6 years, everything went like super successful. Okay, I have taught in many countries. I've taught in businesses like EY, Altran, the Big Three, Marine Harvest, Bravago. I mean, you just name it. I've done chart readings for people in Honolulu, Hawaii, and Sweden. I have done workshops and sessions, live performances in New York, in successful businesses. I mean, you just name it. And 6 years ago, 6 years ago, I decided to move to Spain with the woman of my life and to have 2 children there. And this is where all the pressure started rising and started exposing all my burdens that I was carrying, all the survival strategies. Because in that very moment, the ambition was to live the dream life in Spain and to really build the real work and just keep earning money online. But life, just exposed, as just becoming a father, and then also, putting yourself in a new country, out of your network with no community and no village. That was, for me, a way to escape the burden that I had experienced as a child, where I felt overwhelmed due to several experiences with my parents and my mother, who are the best parents, you know, and just a normal Belgian family, and just like that generation that that haven't really, you know, learned to fully be emotionally present with their children. Not everybody, but as a child, you just have to experience a certain wound where emotionally, when you are not met with your needs, in my case, it was feeling overwhelmed by the pressure and by, you know, just the extreme love, maybe sometimes in a, you know, the other side of the spectrum of being overprotected and over cared for. And I experienced that as something overwhelming. And with that, as a child, you do not have the emotional capacity to deal with that overwhelm of emotions and all the other things that are going on in your life. And so what you learn is then, in order to feel loved and to feel appreciated and to feel seen, because that is the ultimate need of all of us. I don't care if you are an extremely high-performing, successful entrepreneur with $1 million business. You have been a child, you have had emotional needs, and when they were not met, you will develop a strategy in order for you to meet the need of your caregivers. And when it is not met, right, you believe that you have to carry their burden, their fears, their strategies, so that you are seen and you can survive. Because that's what your only thing that you are thinking about is really happening for you in that very moment. And so, because of that, in my personal story, I believe that in a way for me is to carry the fears of my mother, which was a fear to lose me, which is why she was overprotecting me. And I carry the burdens of everyone around me because of it. Because that's how I learned to love. Because the relationship with the mother is how your relationships, whether it's romantic or business or friends, it will develop. It's kind of, that's how the people pleaser could exist. That's how you just feel extremely responsible. That's how you learn to control your environment, because you believe that everyone around you needs to be safe and needs to be carried in order for you to feel safe. That's the ultimate one. You feel, when they feel safe, you feel safe, and you will be seen, you will be loved. We all experience this, whether you're a woman, whether you're a man, it does not matter. And so that's how I isolated myself also, because isolation was another strategy to withdraw from the overwhelming experiences that I would experience in my environment, my close environment, and to isolate myself from the community, and then to also carry all the burdens. I can tell you, there was no one around us. I had to fulfill different roles. Besides being the business partner of my partner who was caring for our children and could not be in the business, I took on her role, I took the financial roles, I took the provider, I took the caregiver, the friend, the husband, I mean, just every role you can imagine, right? And I just kept telling myself that, you know, even though financially everything started obviously mirroring what was happening, to work harder and to keep going and to always say, well, just a little bit more, and if I work harder and if I had more time and blah, blah, blah. So that is the short story of basically when things in your environment are showing you, and this is key for you to understand, there will be something in your environment that you see around you happening. For instance, financially, it's not going the way you want. People are walking out of the sale. People are ignoring you. People or your close partner could be in bed all the time. Or you will attract situations where one of your customers is really a pain in the ass, and it's just something that happens way too much. It is either you staying behind your computer and not go and give those workshops that you've been wanting to give. It's either you postponing a task until the last moments that you can tell yourself that that's just the way you work and it's not good enough. So that when it fails, it's your fault because of the or postponing. So let me tell you how the hidden mechanism behind all of this goes on into your life and why you keep, even if you're a high performer, keep being stuck. Even if you know what you actually should be doing, whether it's sending that email, go and talk to that person, ask for the sale, I don't care what it is, you know what you need to do, but you're not doing it. And this is why. You have experienced a wound as a child. The caregiver who was overprotecting, the caregiver who didn't meet your emotional needs, who didn't hold you, who didn't love you, who didn't see you, who judged you, criticized you, or very other traumatic experiences of abuse you, whatever it is. There is an initial wound that happened. That is not the burden that you're carrying. The burden you are carrying is your response and your experience that was very vivid in how you responded to that very moment. In that very moment, you developed a strategy that is not you. It is a way for you to be able to cope and deal with that situation. So that could be to, well, I will have to take on the fears of my mother. Well, I have to carry everyone around me in order for them to feel safe so that I can feel safe. Well, I have to be extremely smart so that I can get the attention of people and be seen. Whatever burden it is that you initially start carrying, that becomes your identity, and that's not you. That's a survival identity, because it is crucial for you to understand that this is a survival state. Survival means I need to fight, I need to run away, or I need to freeze. And everybody has their own strategy. Everybody has their own way of reacting. We all have all three of them. And it's just what happens because we have no other way to feel safe. So that survival identity starts developing, and now you start developing more strategies. And there are 7 manifestations of all of this. And the first one, the very obvious one, is control. You start to control your environment. You start to control your coworkers and see whether it is done perfect. You start to control your partner because, well, the dishes are not done well, or you just don't trust that they plan enough. The second strategy, and there's more to this, but let me just give you the 7 ways, the 7 manifestations of the burden barrier. The second one is where you carry everything alone. You carry everything alone because what you do is done best. And you carry everything alone because that's how you've learned how to do it. Because you feel responsible for, back in when that wound happened, to carry that load. Because there was no other person to carry it. The third one is where you overthink. Overthinking is a strategy for you not to feel what is going on inside your body. And basically, all the 7 manifestations are a way for you to not re-experience that wound. And that wound, the burden that happens, the way you respond emotionally, is something that's so traumatic, your body shuts down. You run away, you fight, you run, you freeze, and it is an overwhelming experience that you have learned not to re-experience again. Your body is very, very smart. Your body then protects you. That's what the survival strategies are. It's what the survival identity is. That's what the burden bearer is. It is a protection mechanism that doesn't allow you to go to the core of who you are, because it's a core wound. And that core wound is a wound on your core. Core is the Latin word for cor, heart. And your heart is the, without a filter, experiencer that is open to life if it is pure and open and receiving and loving. That is constantly scanning your environment around you and receives all the experiences. But when you experience a core wound, there's parts of you that shut. And that normally the flow of life, literally, this is literally happening. This is, you could even go deep into geometry and how, lines are formed and how shapes are formed and how we from the core exist, and there's a body built around our heart. Well, that flow of life is not fully received. So there's a blockage here. You block the flow of life, and you're going to have to experience things around you, such as people who shout at you, people who betray you, people who are leaving you, because it is reenacting that wound, and it is trying to penetrate you deep within in order for you to see that wound, but now from an adult experience. And when you do this right and you do the inner work, you're able to hold yourself and show yourself, I'm fine. The kid could not do it, but you can. And there's ways to do it, and we'll talk about that in other videos. Another way this manifests is that you constantly keep preparing. So this is where, for instance, you keep writing that keynote, you keep writing your website, you keep preparing for the video, you keep preparing for a sales conversation, whatever it is, because this will, you think you need to do it better, or you think you need to just tweak that project just a little bit more, because you're afraid of the reaction that the people will give you. You are afraid of exposing yourself in that very moment. Because you think that wound will be, that initial wound is what is driving the behavior. And it is preventing you from doing the thing that you actually know you need to do. Because if you don't have that website, people will not be able to find you. If you do not ask for the sale, people will not say yes. Or you will not be able to have that price. You will not be charged at that price, or you will not charge at that price, right? So, another way this is manifesting is you never rest. And I've talked about this in the beginning. It is just because you're running away from the feelings of sadness and anxiety and of feeling alone, not feeling held, of feeling the overwhelm again. And you never rest because you've told yourself that you just have to suck it up and keep motherfucking going, right? But as I already said, this is a state of survival. It is not ambition. It is not discipline. And it's even for those people who cannot sleep at night or wake up at 4 a.m. in the night. I've had this for 15 years straight, almost every single day, and not be able to fall asleep until 6 because your body is in hyper-vigilant mode. Because it's constantly scanning the environment around you and telling you that people will leave you again. People will betray you again. People will let you down again. And that's the constant inner dialogue that is going on in the background of your head. And the final manifestation is that you don't dare to ask for help, right? And there's many strategies behind this one too. In emotions, it could be the shame of experiencing betrayal, or people leaving you, or you just being dumb, right? Because people have shown you in the past that they don't like you. You don't feel worthy enough of yourself is what the result is, because you've told yourself that if you ask for help, people will leave you. People will find you annoying, right? It's because it's a strategy, right? To not confront the core wound, to not feel what is deeply going on. Now, if you've been with me this far and you've recognized yourself in most of this and you resonate with this, I really want to ask you, what is it that you are carrying today that is not yours? And I really want you to take a moment, sit with this, and think about the examples I've given you. And the most important thing really is, when I ask you this question, do you feel triggered? Do you feel a pull? Is there something that you recognize? Is there something that you ignore? I mean, it's all information. And I just want to invite you to, what if you could build a business? What if you could build a relationship that is not built on pressure, but on presence? Because the survival strategy and the burden bearer carries everything, and that's a lot of pressure to deal with. A lot of pressure that isn't yours. A strategy you learned because you felt overwhelmed, not loved, not seen. You felt betrayed. You were afraid that people would leave you. And you started carrying their burdens, their responsibilities. That is a lot of pressure to carry. And just like you are walking up the mountain, and you would do it with just one small bag and some crackers and maybe some eggs in it and water, you are carrying a shitload of stones extra in it, and they're weighing tons. You cannot go that far, and you can definitely not have the same capacity as to where you would just carry some eggs, a cracker, and some water. What's happening is it is preventing you from zooming out, because you keep enacting that wound. You keep acting from the wound. It is your lens. The burden bearer carries everything and sees everything through the lens of the wounded inner child. And it is triggering you in your business and you don't even know it. Now, if you like this video, then I would really want to invite you to subscribe and to hit like, and stay with me in the following videos, where we're going to explore why high performers keep feeling stuck even if they know what to do. And if you feel the call to get deeper and do the inner work with me, then I want to invite you to send me a message so that we can go deeper into a session. Thank you so much, and see you in the next video.